The idea that the United States could face a civil war is usually based on real tensions, but the term is often used loosely. A literal organized armed civil war on the scale of 1861 to 1865 is not considered likely by most mainstream political scientists or security analysts. What is happening is a rise in polarization and institutional stress, which people sometimes interpret as civil war conditions. But why? The biggest driver is the widening ideological gap between urban versus rural populations, progressive versus conservative blocs, and Democrats versus Republicans. This is not just disagreement anymore. It has become identity based politics where each side sees the other as morally illegitimate. The confidence and trust in institutions has dropped. No one trusts Congress, the judiciary, election systems, and the media. Platforms like X, TikTok, and YouTube create separate realities, misinformation, and echo chambers that reinforce anger. Especially X, it's really a dark platform. Issues like inequality, immigration, race, cultural values, and political violence are deeply emotional and create tensions. So we know what might cause a civil war, but what will a modern US civil war look like? If it happens at all, I'm guessing it would be messy, fragmented, and asymmetric. You would not see North versus South. Instead, we would see cities versus rural regions, militias versus federal forces, and ideological groups operating inside the same states. The US is too economically and geographically intertwined for a clean split. Rather than large armies, small militias, extremist cells, and armed civilian networks would operate locally, use guerrilla tactics, and avoid direct confrontation with the full US military. Most conflict would concentrate in major cities and politically symbolic locations. Infrastructure, including power grids, supply chains, would definitely be targeted. Propaganda and misinformation would hit new highs. But outside of legal chaos and periodic violence, the most critical factor is security force fragmentation. A true civil war requires split in the military, police, and national guard. If these institutions remain unified, conflict stays contained. If they fracture, risk escalates dramatically. The bottom line is that it would probably feel less like war and more like persistent instability that reshapes everyday life. So, what are the chances that America can avoid this? Can the US even avoid this? Well, avoiding internal conflict in the US isn't about one fix. It's about stabilizing institutions, incentives, and social cohesion at the same time. The US would need to restore trust in elections and outcomes, reduce winner takes all political incentives, rebuild institutional credibility, address economic pressure and inequality, manage information ecosystems, keep security forces unified, encourage elite restraint, and maintain federal flexibility. In other words, the US is fucked. To be honest, the US has been slowly eroding for decades now. A modern civil war is unavoidable. The question we should be asking, or Americans should be asking, is when might the civil war start, how long will it last, and how to rebuild the phoenix from the ashes? Does that make sense? I don't know. I just wanted to mention the phoenix from the ashes.